Hey guys, this is section 9, final thoughts.
So let's go through a very quick section overview where we're going to actually take a look at everything that we're going to learn in this brand new and last section of the course, okay? So our goal for this section is to actually find out and learn what libraries and frameworks are available to help us with the tasks that we have been doing so far, so that we don't actually have to reinvent the wheel every time, but we actually know how to best choose the tools that are available to help us with our tasks. Okay, we are also going to take a look at how to have separate environments with custom variables and access. We're going to have custom configurations for environments like staging or production environments. Okay, we're also going to learn how to actually deploy our application in several different platforms that are available to actually host our applications, including front-end and back-end. And finally, we're going to have some final words about the course and everything that we have learned so far. Okay, so let's go to the first video of the section, everything from scratch. And first, let's actually start with a quotation that I like a lot from our favorite physicist, Carl Sagan. And the phrase is, if you wish to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe. And that's a very powerful phrase, I believe, and it touches on a very specific point that we have been talking about since the beginning of the course, and that's doing things from scratch. And what exactly do we mean when we say we did something from scratch? Well, of course, it could go as back as actually having to invent the universe, right? It's not really from scratch if you use the universe that was already there. Now, in this sense, we never do anything from scratch, but we could be a bit more lenient with this definition. So one thing that we could actually take a look, it's some sort of scale where actually we're talking about what is from scratch or not. And of course we're talking about programming, so if you go even further, we could be talking about, hey, you actually need to build your computer from scratch, right? Of course we're not talking about that, but you could be saying, hey, we're not going to use any software whatsoever that already exists. We're going to start with bits and bytes, an assembly language, but of course that's not interesting. We have tools that were built over those very low level stuff that we can use, like the C language, and things like that. And we can have more advanced stuff built using these more high level concepts like the C language. But we could go even further, and of course we're talking about Java here. We're talking about how to build REST APIs with Java. So this is where we draw the line, guys. So anything to the right of Java, we didn't look, we don't know, we don't care. We're not going to care about how exactly things work below the Java level. I mean, we know how they work, but we don't need to actually code in C to have something done from scratch. We actually did REST APIs with Java from scratch because we used pure Java. So we have servlets and filters. We have used zero libraries to do the actual core of the application, and that's the good thing. Now, that doesn't mean it stops here. Now, the whole point of this section that we're going to discuss next is what's beyond. So to the left of this dotted line that we have written here. And what's beyond this line are frameworks and libraries that are built on top of Java, and that they allow for us to easily create APIs, REST APIs, and other sorts of things. Okay, now the crux of the matter here is basically that all of these things are built on top of Java, so they all use the low-level stuff that we learned. So they use servlets, they use filters underneath, and now that we know how everything works and comes together as a platform, we know how any of these libraries probably work. So you don't need to go too deep into any of these libraries and frameworks to actually understand what's going on, because you have the basis that's necessary to understand any of them. I think that's the most important thing to get here, is that now we are able to use any framework we wish. We're able to actually choose the best framework. Of course, we're going to take a quick look at every framework that's available and how exactly they operate. But if we find ourselves in a situation where we have a brand new framework that was just developed, we're going to actually know how it works, and we can use that information to decide if it's a good fit for application or not. Okay, and let's also remember that we kind of built some sort of framework with our router class and everything that we have built on top of that, and that's exactly how all of these frameworks came to be. So it started as a single project, and then something got very generic and extracted to a library, and then became a powerful and famous framework. Okay, so in this section, we're going to take a look at these libraries that are listed here, like Spark Java, Spring, Yelp, and REST Easy as an example of a JAX RS implementation. But the most important thing to notice is that everything here in this rectangle here is underneath using everything that we know, so we can use all that we learn to actually better grasp and understand what's going on with this. We're going to apply all that knowledge that we have. So for example, we learned how to do background tasks, and we learned the importance of that. Since everything here is using Java servlets underneath, we know that, for example, if we have our expansion operation, we're going to need to use some sort of background tasks, no matter what framework we're using. Now, of course, we're going to need to learn what's the best practice to actually implement background tasks in each framework, because they might have something that's more ready available than actually implementing with threads the way we did. But in the end, every implementation is going to use threads. So we're trying to get in here is that we learn the basis for actually understanding any of these frameworks and how they operate. Okay, so this is the overview that we're going to see in this video. Now in the following videos, we're going to start to take a deeper look at each of these frameworks, and we're going to see why they are cool and what are their disadvantages as well, in order for you to be able to decide for your use case what's the best approach. Okay, so guys, this is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching.